Hey, Becca, I got your text. I already ordered the thing hands. I just have to do the champagne thing. The thing about the champagne scent is that you can't just order one scent at a time. So I have to order a whole bunch of scents to get it going because shipping is expensive on scents. Like, if I order just one scent, I'm going to be spending like 2 more days. Like, so let's say I get like 2 ounces of champagne scent and nothing else. The shipping will be $14, which is insane, right? You can't, for an ounce. It definitely doesn't cost them that much to send to me, which is why anytime anyone complains about my shipping, I'm like, y'all, because like I do my best to make it worth it for you guys. You know what I mean? Like I charge you what the post office charges me, and they are not doing that for any scent company. They're all charging like wild amounts. So I always try to get at least like 15 or 20 cents at a time so that I can pay then if you get like 20 cents at a time, at least it's like $30 for shipping, usually between $25 and $30, but then it's a little bit more worth it, which I know seems completely insane, but like I gotta do what I gotta do, you know what I mean? I need the cents. Gotta have them. There are some that are a little bit more reasonable, but not the place where I get the champagne one, sadly. How's everyone doing this morning? What's everyone doing this morning? Where is everybody? What's going on? Hey, what's going on here? Hey, morning, Anya. Guys, we're getting down to the wire on this book, that's for sure. Your baby turns 4 today? You're at work. Oof, I'm so sorry. What are you doing for their 4th birthday? Your couch is on the porch. Yeah. When does it come in the house? Happy birthday, baby. This book has been a roller coaster. I agree, Anya. This book has been a roller coaster. I just told John that. John and I were literally talking like maybe 2 minutes before I got on, and I was like, bro, this is getting wild. Need for Speed. That's cute. Is it like Lightning McQueen or anything like that? Or just cars in general? They're all good. I'm just curious. Her car is completely done. Whose car is completely done? Deborah? What was I gonna say? Today I'm going to pick up jars. I was gonna go pick them up yesterday, but then I ended up helping Catherine with the babies. So today she's gonna loan me her car so I can go pick up jars in person. Her car broke down and isn't worth fixing. Oh God, that's the worst. Hey Shira, good morning. You know what? Now I can see Shira. How are they doing? They're great. Morning, Brandon. Shira, now that you have live access, it pops up a thing that says invite when you join. How cool is that? My car. Guys, Shira hit 1,000, so now she has live access. Morning, Rosie. Very cool. It is awesome. Killing the game. Killing the game. Did everyone see the Reputation slime? Hey, Brian. Brian, I saw your video about MJ. I think you did an absolutely beautiful job considering the situation. You did, Is Zoe helping with the baby? Zoe's only 2. She can't really help with the baby. She's just so little, She does her best to be good, she's a very good girl about it. She's a good big sister, but there's not really a lot she can do except like, will you grab me that diaper? I mean, like beyond that, there's just there's just not really anything she can do. Like yesterday, I'm sick with this, makes me feel like, oh, I'm so glad, Maggie. Too much. That's really funny, Rosie. What I was going to say was yesterday. Morning, Renee. I had Gustav strapped to me yesterday while I was doing some stuff, and I went over here and I sat right here like this in this chair. I sat right here with the baby strapped to me, and Zoe really wanted something from me. I don't even know what. So she started to climb on me, but I was already holding the infant strapped to me. So I like had to like move and like keep Zoe on one leg and have the baby on me. And Catherine was looking at me. She was like, I don't know what you're doing. I was like, I don't know either, but she's already here. And she was like, Zoe was like, please, Aunt Sasha, please. I was like, oh God, it's a lot. Having two kids is a lot. I definitely have nannied more than one kid before and been aunt to more than one kid. Well, not aunt, but like fake aunt to more than one kid at a time before, but never a toddler and an infant at the same time. Usually it's like an older kid and a toddler or whatever. And like, he's so delicate. He's just so new. You know what I mean? That like, I was like, oh God, don't smush him. And she kept like moving her hands towards him as if she was going to use him as leverage to climb up. And so I like put my hand there to do it. Not to bring up Broadway drama, but once upon a time, not think about Free Britney. No, they did not. No, they did not. No, they did not, Brian. I can guarantee you that they did not. There's a fly. I don't like flies. How did it get in my house? Thank you, Shira. Thank you. I appreciate it. So anyway, Zoe is doing her best to be a good big sister, but it's different because Zoe holds your heart and she's used to your full attention. Tricky balance. It is tricky balance because she is my precious baby, and I can't live without her, but I can't let her smush her brother either. Well, yeah, we know that now after they flooded every outlet yesterday with no Britney approves. Yeah, I'm surprised Britney approves, to be honest. But I guess, I mean, we know she likes musicals. We've always known that. So I guess maybe it shouldn't be that surprising. But it's a little weird, right? Guys, my roots are growing out so badly. Like, this is embarrassing. I'm so glad they're getting done soon. Like, this is bad. This is bad, you guys. Real bad. Real bad. Toddler and infant stage is the hardest for me. I understand having two years apart. Yeah, they're about 2.5 years apart. Gustav and yes, that is the correct spelling of Ryan, actually, Becca. Ryan, and this is not any kind of secret or whatever. Ryan is very public about it. Ryan had how would it have ever lasted till October? It wouldn't have lasted till October. I would have just suffered. Ryan was lucky enough to be able to, Ryan is trans, and Ryan was able to keep most of their own name. Ryan's dead name has Ryan in it. So it was a very easy transition for a lot of us. She doesn't technically, but they said she's getting paid if you read I read the one that you had like the thing above, but I didn't read like anything past what you had up on your thing because Brian, I'm not even going to lie to you. You are my solitary source of Broadway news currently. It is very cool, Becca. They had a great relationship with their mom and their mom is passed. And so they didn't want to completely get rid of the name that their mom had given them, which I totally understand. No, seriously, Brian, thank you. Guys, Brian is my Broadway news source. If you're looking for Broadway news, it's only Brian. That's the only, like, I don't read anything else anymore. I don't even bother. Like, why would I need to? Brian breaks it down for me. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. Obviously, I'm not trans, so I can't speak to it directly, but I do have a very disproportionately high number of trans friends than, like, the average ally, right? Oh, thank you, Maggie. I love it, too. It was a gift from my goddaughter for my birthday last year. Someone I know renamed themselves without consulting their mom, and it didn't go well. Yeah, I mean, I think the concept of a dead name is really difficult for a lot of people because they have such a hard relationship with their previous life. Ryan's previous life, though not what they want, wasn't detrimental. So maybe that has something to do with it. Ryan lived an okay life previously, and Ryan was also instantly accepted by the majority of people in his life. So his transition was pretty smooth, all things considered. Obviously, I'll never speak for him, but I just know they didn't want anything close to their dead name. Yeah. Good morning, Kaylee. And again, Ryan's mom was passed before the transition, but Ryan felt very strongly about keeping part of what their mother had given them, what his mother had given him, rather, as an homage. But also it made it really easy for a lot of us, imagine it's all, exactly, as smooth as possible, exactly. Comparatively very good. Ryan had a comparatively very good transition. I fully understand dead names from people from 5-10 years ago, but now with more acceptance, parents should. Yeah. Well, Ryan is my age pretty much, so it's different. It's not like a young, like 20-something-year-old who's just transitioning now. Ryan is an old man like me. But actually, Ryan's assistant, I don't know if any of you were around when Ryan and I made the video, like, firing his assistant because she didn't like the Spice Girls. She's a young Gen Z, but you're 21. I am 21. Thank you, Brian. Depends. This person hated their dead name and their mom would end with the mom. Yeah. It's really difficult. It's a very interesting, thing conceptually. When I got married, so you can change your name when you get married, obviously. And when I got married, I was going to change a lot of my name legally, and my mom asked me not to, because she really likes my legal name. I don't like my legal name. I see it, Becca. I figured. And my mom asked me not to change it, but I wish that I had, I wish I had. I dropped my middle name when I got married and made it my maiden name. My mom was not happy. Yeah, they have like a weird thing about it, I'm real mad about my hair, you guys. Anyway. Does she call your legal name? Not once. My mom has never used my legal name to speak to me once in my life. Not once ever. Which is why I don't know why she cares about it so much. No one in my family uses that name. No one ever uses that name. It's very odd. I don't get it. I've been called Sasha literally since the day I was born. I got nothing. My sister wanted to change her name to Jay, but my parents wouldn't let her. I think it depends on how old you are, too. Like, right, I'm a full adult. Well, if you ever get married again. Yeah, we'll see about that. All right, let's read. We're on chapter 50 and page 342. We basically have 100 pages on the nose left to go. So, she was 17 at the time. I don't think I would change my name at 17 legally. I think parents are okay to stop you at that point, but once you're at 18, I love my first and middle name and I wouldn't give those up. That's good. You have a nice one, so that's nice, All right, chapter 50. Here we go. We should get John up in here. But full disclosure, my middle name was my mom's name. Oh, well, yeah, that makes more sense. No, not legally, just socially. Oh, socially? Yeah, do whatever you want socially. As long as it's not legally, yeah, whatever. I mean, even legally, like, who even cares, right? All right, anyway, chapter 50. I opened my eyes and flicked them around the cabin, not sure how long I'd been out. There was a small amount of light leaking through the porthole, and I could see some now. It stood to reason that I'd been asleep for a while, but it felt like only a few minutes because I still felt groggy. Then I noticed Blue was sleeping next to me, curled up a few inches away with her back facing toward the door. I thought about tabbing Beck, but I didn't want to wake Blue in case she'd only been sleeping a few minutes. So I sat up slowly and swung my boots, which I hadn't taken off, to the rumbling floor. Obviously, we were still en route, but I didn't know how much ground we'd covered. I stood and exited the cabin, leaving Blue snoozing and not bothering to put on a shirt. He lives, Beck said with a smile when I entered the lounge area. How long was I out? I asked, my voice breaking for some reason, because it felt like it hadn't been used in months.
Piper, who was sitting beside Beck with Sloane in her lap, said, about 10 hours. We're almost out of British Columbia. You're really pale, Sloane decided to tell me, wrinkling her nose at my appearance. Beck laughed, but I noticed Piper's eyes run up and down my semi-cut frame before she said, I think pale works for you. Stop trying to rekindle, crap, Pipe, Beck told her with a slight shake of her head. He just climbed out of Bev's blue anyway. Yeah, how long has she been in there? I asked, truly wanting to know. I didn't hear her come in. Piper and Beck looked at Sloane like she knew the answer, but the little girl hadn't heard any of our talking because she was still wrinkling her nose at my body. Seriously, you need to get dressed because you're starting to freak me out. Fine, I said, sighing. Wait, let me look at your shoulder first, Piper said, sliding Sloane off of her lap and standing. I sat on the bench across from Beck, who had folded her arms, disapproving look on her face, while Piper started unwrapping my shoulder. I wasn't paying attention, really, and was too busy thinking about Sybil in my dream to notice Piper when she got off the wrap and gasped. I glanced at her. What? It's gone, she said quietly, staring in shock before she smiled broadly. The wound, Jericho, it's completely gone. It was true. I ran my left hand over the now smooth skin where it was supposed to be a huge gash. There wasn't even dried blood anywhere. You are full of surprises, Piper said, touching my shoulder, and looked at me with a small smile. I'd seen this look from her before. Why was she doing this? She was over me until Archimedes showed back up, and now she was subtly trying to... Well, I'm not sure, but she was sure trying to do something. Beck was all business now. Sweet, what about the rest of your powers? I'm not really sure, I said, looking at my hands. I'm not hurting now, so maybe I can do everything? Ark, pull over, Beck commanded, and the armored rig instantly slowed. What for? He buzzed over her holotab. Beck didn't answer, but opened the side door before we had come to a stop, and I was greeted by the full force of the frozen landscape and icy wind. Hey, John! This chapter, is something going on? We're on chapter 50. Is something going on? Ruh-roh! We got an author in the house. What's up? It was cold, not a good sign for me considering I used to be able to run shirtless through 20 below weather. After I'd gotten my clothes on and pulled my hood over my head, I followed Beck into the whiteness, walking a good 40 feet from the car. It's just a fun one. Oh, okay, we love fun. Also, I love Sloane, John. I don't know if I told you that already, but I love Sloane, and I'm glad that she's here. After I'd gotten my clothes on and pulled my hood over my head, I followed Beck into the whiteness, walking a good 40 feet from the car. I just said that, sorry, we repeated. Try some lightning, Beck said to me. Make Mama proud. I clenched my fists and concentrated hard, my eyes closed as I tried to will voltage to the surface. After nothing happened for almost a minute, Beck sighed. Well, we tried. At least you'll be useless and alive at the same time. What's the plan in the Yukon? I asked, shoving my hands in my coat pockets and looking off into the distance. Beck shrugged, putting her hands into her pockets too. Well, there isn't much human activity in the Yukon. The main goal is to not get eaten by snowcats. We should be fine in this rig, though. How is it on gas? Doesn't run on, she told me, shaking her head, like I'd steal something with half a tank to cross British Columbia and the Yukon. We stood there, staring into the rising sun for a minute before heading back to the car. The fresh air was good, and I can't explain how amazing it felt to, not be wounded unto death and all. We stood there, staring into the rising sun before... Why can't I read properly? I'm, repeating everything twice. Oh my God, are my eyes going? Sorry. Just rest up, Beck told me before we entered the rig. Take the quiet of the Yukon and try to summon your chi back. God knows we're going to need it soon. I nodded and followed her inside so we could resume our journey. Quiet, huh? I could go for some quiet time. Actually, I began looking forward to the Yukon. I knew it was a long stretch to Anchorage, and that made it better. I also didn't know what I'd been thinking. Quiet time? You mean me actually catching a break? John, stop it. Stop it! Don't talk like that. No, you don't make me nervous. I love you. Rubbish. The only quiet time I got was the next 18 hours, and that's only because we stopped at the border of British Columbia to sleep. You guys want to really know why I started doing it? Because Duolingo started putting alerts up at the top of my screen that I haven't done my Duolingo this morning, and I usually do it before book club because it's like a part of my morning routine. So my brain was like, oh my God, you haven't done Duolingo. Oh my God, you didn't practice. Oh my God, you're going to lose your streak. And that's really what was going through my mind. Stupid. I slept in the main cabin, saying the room was stuffy, but really just not wanting to be alone with Blue. No matter what she said, I was always going to see her sister's death as my fault. I couldn't fix it, but facing her throughout the day was bad enough. Alone in the room with her was too much. "What are you thinking about?" I heard Beck ask from the other side of the dark cabin. Blue and Sloane had taken one of the rooms, and Archimedes and Piper had taken the opposite one, which left me stuck in the main cabin with Beck. It wasn't that bad, really, because I'd been familiarizing myself with her for a while, since she was the only person who understood half of what I was going through at times. "Death?" I said. "It sucks, doesn't it?" she said. "You and I were lucky enough to come back, at least." "If lucky is what you call it," I said. "Call me crazy, but I haven't exactly accomplished much since my resurrection." I heard her sit up. "Cross wanted you to accomplish things for him. I think everything you do that's not for him is something great." Beck was never serious, be it in the face of danger, death, or dismemberment, or when she was mad, sad, glad, or tired. She just wasn't serious about anything. So the few times when she was actually being on the level, I really listened. But I still changed the subject. "Do you ever sleep, Beck?" "For years, no, I didn't. It wasn't until a few months ago that I started the ghost walk thing." "What?" I turned my head towards her. "You mean about the same time I woke up in Cross's lab?" I guess. What's that got to do with anything?" An idea was forming. I could almost see the outcome. "Good night, Beck," I said suddenly to her. "You're a good friend, but I'm beat, so I'll see you in the morning." Beck was a little thrown by my turning over and facing away from her, clamping my eyes shut and willing my being in one direction as hard as I could. "Come on, Sybil," I thought. "We really need to have a chat." Chapter 51. Jericho took a breath, pausing the recording on his holotab and re-dyeing himself before starting into the most critical part of his story. Why was he even doing this? The thought had been evident from the start that he had gone back and forth the past hour on whether or not he was actually going to accomplish anything at all by telling his tale that was the hardest part. When he thought about it, he knew why he was recording his story, but he never knew who he was recording it for. The first time he'd done it years ago was to keep a little of his sanity before possibly dying the next day. This time was different, and it almost felt like he was putting a message in a bottle. His holotab lit up. "The council's ready for you, Commander Jericho." Sighing, he stood and walked across his spacious suite in a massive facility located in the heart of Anchorage. "I told you not to call me that, Red," he said, annoyed. What? 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 "How's Beck?" he asked, changing the subject while he stepped up to the glass wall of the suite, peering down at the snowy streets that were packed full of soldiers, his soldiers. "Still in surgery," Red informed him. "Blue's trying her best, but not sure if it can be done." Jericho closed his eyes, placing a hand on the cold glass. "Blue can do it. Just keep me posted." "Will do, Commander. Red out." Jericho didn't miss a beat, instantly selecting another contact from his tab. "What's up, Jerry?" "Thanks for not referring to me as Commander, Sam," Jericho said, truly meaning it. "You got it, brother," Sam said, his face appearing on the thick glass in front of him, nodding knowingly the way that he always did. "Titles dehumanize a man, if you ask me." "How are my tanks?" The big man shrugged. Better than expected. Could really use Blue's expertise down there, though." Jericho dropped his gaze. She's still working on Beck." "Still?" Sam asked, frowning. "Crikey, she's been at that a long while." Jericho merely nodded, and Sam said, "How's it going with the storytelling?" Now Jericho shrugged. "My audience nodded off a few hours ago," he said, glancing up at the couch where Sloane was fast asleep. Sam laughed at that before saying, "Tell the ankle biter to take notes. She's going to be losing her mind one day as well." "Shut up," Jericho told him, smiling. "Just get my tanks ready, man." "Yes, sir, Commander," Sam said, winking at him. Just before he signed off, though, he became serious and said, "Listen, Jerry, you know you don't have to do this." "Yes, I do," he answered simply. The big Aussie nodded once and, satisfied, said, "Right. Sorry, mate." No worries, man. Also, tell Archimedes to come up here when he gets a chance. No problem. Sam out. Jericho headed back down to the armchair he'd been sitting in. It was time to resume his story. Only he passed the chair completely, heading to the main door. Maybe he just went out for an hour or two and cleared his mind. He could finish before... He stopped when his hand touched the doorknob, his head twitching slightly once he listened. Sybil, I know. Okay? He said to the air. I'm just frazzled and can't... He was cut off and he listened some more. Is this going to be a regular thing with you? He finally asked. What do you mean by what do you mean? I mean you radioing in every time I make a move that's not a part of the overall... Jericho stopped again, closing his eyes. Yes, I know, he said. I'll finish. Stop apologizing because I know you're not sorry. He sat back in the armchair and selected his tail on his holotab memory. He closed his eyes and sighed and then went to press record. Your bedtime stories are humongous, Sloane said groggily from the couch opposite him. Her eyes were still closed. Aren't you done yet? No, he told her. Not yet. Okay, what? Red first, then Sam, in the opposite order of how they died. Chapter 52. 7:40. We have time. We can do chapter... Unapologetic AF, right? You guys, what's it like to be in the room with the author and let them... Wait, but John, is this your first time like watching people react in real time to something that's happening? Because my brain just exploded right in front of your face. Do you like it or do you hate it? Is it good or bad? I'm so glad I can go back and review on you. Yeah. No, for sure, Tiffany, for sure. This must be... you broke Sasha. Yeah, I first time seeing people react for sure. No, I love it. Okay, that's good. What a way to mind F us. I know, really. Well, see, here's the thing that you have to know, John. You weren't here. Like, I really love Sam. Like, Sam is one of my favorites. And so I had a really difficult time when Sam passed. So even just getting another little glimpse of him saying Jerry was really, like, you know, yeah. Like, Red, I mean, obviously we're sad because we like her, like, she's cool, whatever. But, like, I wasn't attached to her the way that I was attached to Sam. So, whatever take that for what it's worth. She's great. Like, I don't have a problem with Red or anything. I just am like, whatever. Yeah, he's really great. All right, chapter 52. Man, that's a lot of chapters. That's actually what it says. I wasn't making it up, but that does sound like something I would say. Ooh, that's funny. That's funny. Okay. Man, that's a lot of chapters. I apologize for the length, really. Believe it or not, this is honestly the most summed up version I can tell at this point. I guess if I would have attempted this 10 years from now when it was foggier, I probably would have forgotten a lot of the key points and been able to do this thing in about 15 minutes flat. Anyways, please hang in there, whoever you are. That's so crazy, Mallory. It's so crazy. I hit the ground running when I landed the snow, bolting blindly until I saw the citadel looming in the distance. Sybil, I shouted, glancing left and right and into the sky, thinking that I might catch a glimpse of her somewhere. We need to talk. I know why you are here, her voice echoed. You will not find my knowledge comforting. Will you stop talking like a robot and show yourself? I asked. In a few seconds, Sybil appeared in front of me, her hands clasped tightly in front of her while her blind eyes looked in my direction. Yes. Since I hadn't come for chit-chat, I delved right into my case. Look, I know you think I'm a paladin and all, but I'm not. I do know who is perfect, though, I said, smiling once before telling her. Beck is not chosen, Jericho, Sybil said simply. Not gonna lie. Her cutting me off because she knew what I was going to say really ticked me off for some reason. Well, unchoose me then, I said, agitated. This is not a real word, she informed me, and I am sorry, But that is not how it works. Mallory, I really hope so, but I don't think so. I think it's just people who have been checking my page a lot, because if you go look at my views, they are wildly down. Like, everything is down. So I don't know. We'll see how today goes. Cut the crap, Sybil, I almost shouted. Why don't you take a break long enough to tell me how it works then? Her unfocused eyes never left me. I tried to on your last visit here. Sasha's ability to remember which voice she does for each character is astounding. I do my best. I did lose Beck along the way, though, which is a real bummer. She said, her voice sounding more edgy, since it would seem that you have left your long-term memory functions in your reality, I must remind you that you declined most vehemently. Please tell me that was sarcasm. The corners of her mouth twitched in an almost smile thing. It was. Look, can you explain to me why Beck won't work without giving me the entire rundown inside the Citadel? I asked. Sybil looked like she was thinking about that before she finally decided. Beck is not a paladin, and more importantly, she is not you. Did you all hear that? What the heck was that? What a strange sound. It's not trash day. Yesterday was trash day. And the trash is out there. That was out there. Clearly. Sybil looked like she was thinking about that before she finally decided, Beck is not a paladin, and more importantly, she is not you. I will answer any question you have pertaining to Beck Sparks. I took a deep breath, organizing my questions the best I could before I began. So Beck isn't a paladin? No, Sybil answered. The way the world as a whole perceives paladins is flawed. In the case that they only see power and nothing more. Beck is powerful. Thus, you and your comrades believe she is like you for this, but she is nothing like you. How so? I cannot tell you. The answer to that question pertains to you. She has Z90 in her just like me, I told her, not caring about her protocol. She also has the same out-of-body experiences that I do. For the first time since I met her, Sybil looked confused. What is Z90? You know, Z90, I tried again. The stuff that makes us paladins. Instead of a robotic answer, Sybil simply shook her head, almost looking sorry for me. Flawed, she said. You must come into the Citadel, Jericho. There is so much you do not know. Now I was looking confused. But Cross laid out the whole thing, I said, and Sybil took a step toward me suddenly. Socrates Cross? She asked. I frowned. I never knew his first name, actually. Confronting that man will start your crusade. Are you not on your way to him now? Yeah, but what about his younger... Oh! John expects me to keep up voices in this moment? I'm going to go back a sentence so that you guys can get the full effect of this like I did. Excuse me. I never got his first name, actually. Confronting that man will start your crusade. Are you not on your way to him now? Yeah, but what about his younger brother, Archimedes Cross? Have you encountered him yet? I was shocked into silence, but when I finally regained words, I said, I thought you could see everything that was going on with me since you're like my partner. Partisan. Whatever. Sybil approached me. I cannot at the moment. I had a good connection when you were in closer proximity with Stargazer and the Rogues, or just Flagstaff in general. Let me guess. Verizon? What? Never mind. What was the last thing you remember? Sybil reached up and put both of her hands on either side of my face, closing her eyes. The last clear image I have, she said. You were on your way to meet with Beck. I had bits and pieces of Vancouver also. I was stunned. Whoa, that's way back there, Sybil. For some reason, the bond was strained when you met Beck, but it wasn't completely broken until you left Las Vegas, Nevada. Vegas, the day I made the decision that I didn't want to be a paladin. Oops. Sybil had picked up the last time I was here, actually slapping me and calling me selfish. Why? Sybil asked from out of nowhere, but I kind of knew what she was talking about. Can I level with you? I asked. Certainly, she said, removing her hands slowly from my face. I didn't have much to say except the truth. Everything in my life that mattered is gone. I'm not even supposed to be here, Sybil. If I were supposed to be this chosen one, wouldn't I have been able to fix my time and not be someone else's problem over 300 years in the future? Citadel. Now, Sybil said, and sounded more human than I'd heard yet. You know nothing, and that is dangerous. I tried to pry more out of her for about 5 minutes with no success, and finally she said, Why are you afraid to enter the Citadel? I sighed, walking away from her and putting my hands on my hips, clicking my tongue inside my cheek and glancing towards the huge ivory structure almost a mile away. I wanted to know what the heck was going on really bad. Flying by the seat of your pants will only take you so far, I've learned. You said something about a crusade. Can you tell me about that? Each paladin is assigned a crusade, she said simply. Crusades are assigned when some time itself is in jeopardy. When did you say this crusade of mine will start again? I asked, still looking at the Citadel. After you confront Socrates' cross, Sybil said. Well, why then and not now? Things will be revealed that... She stopped, catching herself. I turned, smiling. Ah, so you're really not a robot after all. I wish I would have known that the last time I was here, because I might have tried to seduce my answers out of you. I was joking, of course, but Sybil didn't think it was very funny. Her cheeks burned and she faced the ground, her hands tightly clasped in front of her while she fidgeted with her feet in the snow. Sybil, I was kidding. I wasn't always like this, she said quietly while she lifted her face back up, and I hated myself. Of all the girls to mess with, a blind girl with an unfulfilled mission wasn't one of them. I was a brilliant physicist during the First World War. I was stunned. No, like literally stunned, with my mouth dropping open and everything. Yeah, no, I was too. How'd you end up here? Sybil shrugged slightly, and I lifted one side of her mouth into a sad smile. Dabbling too much in astronomy. Probably. I didn't laugh because I wasn't sure if she was serious or not, and she continued, I do not remember most of my life, just bits and pieces. I do know that I was married, but I cannot remember his face nor his name. I didn't say anything, mainly because, well, I just didn't know what to say, but also because I know that if I would have been stuck in one place for over 400 years alone, I would have talked to the first person I saw literally to death too. But she didn't say anything else and just stood there, her hands still clasped together. I wasn't one for prying, but she did happen to know a lot about me, so I figured, what the heck? Do you miss it? I asked. What's to miss? I told you, I do not remember my life before. Well, what will happen to you when I finish my crusade? Sybil wasn't much of a shrugger. Just putting that out there, she looked like someone with all the answers, so when she was caught in the act of doing one of the most non-committal, no-answer gestures, it looked pretty odd. Shrugging, she said, I am not entirely sure. It's been nearly 4,000 years since the last paladin was needed. I stared at her in disbelief. Come again? What is it that you are not understanding? You're telling me that after 4 world wars, countless acts of genocide, debauchery at every turn, now is the time a paladin who missed most of those, might I add, is needed? You do not know what a paladin is called to do, so I do not know how any of this could make sense to you. I was quiet for a while after that, and I ended up staring at the citadel again, mulling it over in my head. Do I have to go inside to get my powers back? I finally asked. No, she answered. You said it was up to me, I said, looking back at her. Can't you just give me a list or something that tells me how to go about getting them back instead of giving me some crazy Zen junk to go off of? I told you why your powers stopped on your last visit, Sybil said, and I thought she looked a little agitated about it still. That is all I can tell you. You will just have to help yourself. I scoffed in frustration, crossing my arms and shaking my head at that. I was about to say something sarcastic until a thought struck me. Help myself. Hey, Sybil, I gotta run, I told her, walking quickly to her and grabbing her hands, placing them on my temples. This has been very educating, though, so thanks. Before I was gone, I saw Sybil smile, an actual smile. I sat up immediately in the dark cabin. Beck, are you awake? When she didn't say anything, I said, look, if you're in super sneak mode, get out of it because this is important. Fine, I heard her groan, rolling over and facing me. What's up? I think I know how to get my juice back. Beck sighed and laid back on the bench. Note to self, never take Jericho's level of importance seriously ever again. I think I know what me from the future came back to tell me, I told her, smiling. That you're gonna die? I know. Beck said, no, he told me not to fight it. Beck chuckled. Well, yeah, did you see the shape future you was in with the loss of limbs and blood? I said whatever you decided to fight a few days from now resulting in death should be avoided. I was ecstatic. Everything made sense now. Well, more sense than it had been making anyway. I was talking about myself. Yes, you do that a lot. No, I meant me from the future. I was talking about me. I felt her signature frown in the darkness. You were talking about fighting yourself? I thought about that, pulling one side of my mouth to the side and bobbing my head in an indecisive manner. Yes and no. He was telling me not to fight the change, like the paladin change. Beck sat up. I'm not getting you at all right now. So I explained it to her, talking for almost 30 minutes in the dark about everything I knew at that point. I started with the blue incident, which Beck laughed at yet again, explaining how the ability to take over someone else's mind was frightening, to say the least. So I'd suppressed it in every way I could. And I went on to Vegas, finishing up with the hijacking of Beck's thoughts, leaving out everything pertaining to Sybil and the mysterious realm where the Citadel was located. Once I was finished, I let out a breath, leaning back on my bench and letting my head roll back a little. I felt good. Almost relaxed for some reason, like retelling all of it had, taken something off my chest. Are you sure the taking over minds part wasn't what you were specifically talking about? Beck asked, catching me off guard. What? Hi, baby. Mabel. Like, what's going on? I read your username as it is. It's Mabel. Hi, hello. How are you? Sorry, I did that wrong, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be here. You make me nervous. I'm just gonna read quietly. Blech. I'm just going to read. She makes me more nervous than John does. And John's the author of this book. Now I don't know where I was. Hi, how are you? I hope you're good. And I'm so sorry that you have to see me at 7 a.m. I'm sorry. I promise this isn't what I always look like. I'm normal. I swear. Oh, God. Where was I? I lost track of where I was. Oh, okay. Everything is fine. Maybe she left. Everything is great. She can leave. It's fine. Where was I? It was late enough by this time and I saw her shrug. I mean, everything else about being a paladin was like awesome, right? I wasn't sure where she was going with this. I mean, yeah, I guess. So maybe future you was telling you not to fight just that part because it was going to be what you were going to need the most. It made sense. Too much sense. Where'd that come from? I asked her. She shrugged again. I don't know, just a thought really. Maybe you should practice. I'll pass, I said, shaking my head. If there was ever a part that was working fine, it was, don't fight it. I stopped talking mid-sentence. Sybil's voice barely audible and it sounded far away. You're going in the right direction, Paladin. Do not stop. Do not stop anything. Not really sure if she could hear my thoughts or not, I aimed one back at her, stating that I didn't want to learn to control the minds of others, or worse, take over their bodies. I'm afraid you will not understand my description, she said. Then dumb it down, I thought. Sybil was quiet for a few seconds. It's all or nothing. Our connection is weak but restored because you are doing something right. You will need to complete everything in your crusade. All or nothing, I thought, closing my eyes. Then I'm in. Time to go big or go home. It was a moving moment in my mind, what with me taking a stand and all that. Call it lame if you like. All I know is that when I opened my eyes again, I was back, baby. Are you thinking really hard or something? Beck said. Something like that, I said quietly before standing. Let's take a walk while everyone else is still asleep. Beck swung her feet to the floor and pulled on a boot. Sounds good, but Sloane has your long coat, so you'll have to swipe it somehow. No need, I told her, opening the side door and letting the swirling morning snow smack me square on my bare chest and face. It felt awesome. Wouldn't want to wake her. And then I was off, dashing through the whiteness with nothing but pants on, and I was loving it. Nice. He's back, you guys. Well, that was a wild ride of a day. Wild ride of a day. John, what the heck? I almost want, if it wasn't morning and you weren't prepared, I almost want to force you to come on here and explain yourself to us. Do you guys want to know part of why I was so shocked about the cross and Archimedes thing? It's okay, John. I know you can't. I said I would. Not that I'm going to. I said I would. A couple chapters back, Rochelle is yelling for me to do it. Hi, girl. Hi. I love you. Okay, so here's the thing. A couple of chapters back, when we were reading about Archimedes going to Anchorage and him getting ahead of the group and not stopping for Piper when he knew that he was really close to where Piper was, I thought Piper was Cross. No, not Piper. Archimedes. Sorry, I'm getting all confused. I thought there was a fleeting moment where I was like, oh my God, he's getting ahead because Archimedes is Cross and he knows something and he doesn't want to run into Jericho and all this stuff. But then when they had to save Archimedes, I was like, yeah, never having issue with travel and all these other weird things and him just showing up at certain times. I was like, oh, maybe he's Cross, because he's never crossing paths with Jericho and all this stuff. And he's American, right? They're both American. I was a little suspicious. But then they had to save him from that thing. That would have been a good twist. No, this is even better. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was wrong. You know what I mean? Whatever. So when he did run into him and everything was chill, I was like, okay, well, whatever, So that's why it took me so off guard. That's all. That's what you saw my reaction. That was real-time reactions. John got some real intense real-time reactions today. So that is what is going on. And yeah. All right. So I'm going to go. I have to help with the kids, and then I'm going to switch cars with Catherine and go get all the jars, and then I will come back, and then I will do a slime live tonight like we did last night. Last night's was great. We got a lot done. Let's hope we can get the same amount done. If you have, next chapter is a good one. Gonna be around for that one tomorrow. Yes, awesome. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Nope. I'll see John tomorrow. I'll see you all tonight for Slime Live. Bye, guys.